record, and it's given me that same message. It says there are no recorders available. And if there's no recorders available, it won't be able to stream it either, I don't think.
Hang on, yeah, I'm gonna try as well if I can. It says that I can upload to my Dropbox. I'm gonna see if that works. Good try. No, you're right. It's the same. It's their servers. Okay, nothing to do about it. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I think we have most of the people who will join today, so just let's jump into it. Michael, if you haven't seen it, so the notes are always just on GitHub in the form of issues. So they're on github.com/giveit/communication, and so you can always see most of the issues there. But let's start with checking in. So my intention is just to have a swift, quick meeting because my head is completely into the website for the moment. So I want to go back to that. And I am distracted slightly by just taking some of the notes in the issues. And I give it to Lorelei.
Oh,
hey.
Looks like it's just us guys, which is weird because Chris sent me a message earlier today.
Checking the little transcript, just started talking. And I'm also down with a cold over here. But yeah, I'm here. My intention is to just stay updated with where we're at in our flow of projects, and I will pass it along to Bowen.
Good morning, everyone. It's a morning, and it's 8:05 where I'm at, and I'm slugging down the coffee, waking up for the comms meeting. I don't have much as far as distractions go today, except like trying to push a milestone through. And my intention is to continue to keep on track with communications and social coding, communications related issues. And with that, I will hand it over to Jeff.
Good to see you guys. You definitely sound like a radio host there, Bowen. Where are you based out of? West Coast?
Yeah, I'm in Venice, California.
Cool. Cool. I am not far behind you. It's 9 a.m. here in Calgary, and doing pretty good. Excited for the meeting and distracted by going to get another cup of coffee. And I will hand it off to Michael.
Hi, everybody. Just checking in here. I'm curious to see what's to be part of this communication meeting. It's my first one, so just hanging out and getting up to speed with these different team meetings. So, and I'm distracted by the light it's on my face like a laser beam. So that's what's distracting me right now. And I guess I'd pass it back to Chris, right? I think that's everybody.
And I was muted. Yeah, I think so. So how we normally and lately have been doing this meeting, and I like it, the format actually, is that we don't go through all the issues that are in the ZenHub board, but we pick some of them out there that are top of mind for us. So first of all, I'll start off with an issue that is not on there, and that is the straw poll, which I just put in the chat as well. So for people who haven't voted yet, please vote. So the proposal is that we just push the meeting back with an hour, so that some of our new American friends can join easier and don't have to get up in the morning, because I feel that many of us are not so much morning people anyways, neither am I. And I also heard from Griff that he would prefer this as well, because he has right now, for example, he has the Aragon check-in meeting where he's becoming more active, so 6 would work for him too. Extra reason I would like to do this is because it would be cool again to have like a representative of every circle in these meetings. It's not obligatory. If you cannot make it, no worries. Then this meeting is mostly meant as a meeting to stay in the loop of everything that's happening communications wise for our different circles. So that is a first point. So if I look right now, so this is a live vote. Right now we are at, where is it now? We are at 4 votes on 6 p.m. and 3 votes at 5 p.m. So it's still, there's still some people who prefer 5 p.m. So if you guys have some feedback, like speak up. What do you think? Is there a reason why you would prefer 5 p.m.? If those people are here?
Wait, are we speaking only for 5 p.m. right now? Because I was just going to say that I like 6. I mean, it's going to take some adjusting for me. Like I made that doodle poll and was unaware of this shift, but it's kind of nice, the consistency too with the Gov meeting timing on the next day. And I really feel you guys on the early morning difficulty, and I want you to be happy, and I want me to be happy when I'm in America coming to this meeting.
Jeff, you wanted to add something. Go ahead.
6 works for me. I mean, it's 9 a.m. here, so I'm not, waking up, rolling out of bed and getting on the meeting like Bowen, but 9 a.m. I prefer 10 if that's available for everybody. So that's the 6 p.m. is perfect.
Cool. Okay. Oh yeah, you're cool with both, you say. Perfect. Well, then it's a majority right now on the 6 p.m., especially from the people talking here. So as of next week, we do 6 p.m. Yay! So that it's done. So I'll adapt the bot to say the correct hours. The downside is that Lansky, probably for him it might be more difficult, but he said he will try for the next day to just not work in the morning, which would be cool. We're trying to wean him off his job anyways and more into the Givet Galaxy, because he's a very much appreciated voice who has lots of comms experience. So that is one point. Then a thing that is on in the issues, that is the Givet website. So we discussed like the Givet Galaxy versus DApp discussion yesterday, and actually it started around the website. And one of the frustrations also from the DApp team that the Givet DApp is not present enough on this, and I do think it makes sense to always have the DApp very present, but to also make people clear that we're a Galaxy that is about more than just the DApp. So Kai just had a baby, so he won't be able to really work on the website anymore. I made an initial wireframe for the website, but then Kai changed it quite a bit from the original draft, which is fine, but he just wanted to have something live before he had his baby, which is done. But he's completely open on rearranging the website. So what I'm doing right now is adapting the wireframe a little bit. I do get his logic, what he did, but just to give you a heads up, what I would like to do, but I'll share the wireframe with some of you guys anyways. But for the top navigation, it now says dApps and community goes to the DAC, and we don't. It's mobile optimized. So the thing that I would like to do is in the top navigation, I would put the Giveth dApp and the Giveth Galaxy. And for the rest, we just keep the buttons join and donate because these need to be on there anyways. And then when you click on Galaxy, you go down just a little bit lower, where you will find a little bit of an introduction that explains that the Galaxy means many things, and that it is that we have our different circles with social coding, governance, and the dApp circle. I don't even want to mention communication, because to me communication is like this meeting. It's like bringing the different circles together and to discuss everything we're working on. To me, like there's no community without communication. So I think that's speaks for itself. So I discussed talking about this. I also wanted to mention. So I discussed with Griff yesterday about the circles. So the idea and the proposal right now is that we do keep the circles, because it's an easy way to explain to people what the main things are that we're working on. And so for governance circle, that is like our own project, the experiments that we're doing in a practical day-to-day kind of way, and also the research that we're doing that Jeff is gonna focus on mostly and write about, and social coding, which is kind of an incubator and experimentation area, which is our other big element, and the third element is the dApp, the Giveth dApp. So these three things, I would like to have these clear on the website. They're also represented by campaigns, and they're also represented in our Riot. So that makes it easy for people who come in to see like, hey, this is like the area I'm most interested in. And it also provides us with a sort of basic structure to talk about what Giveth is about. When you talk to other people, it's an easy way to explain, well, we're still working on the Giveth app. Definitely, it's a key element of what Giveth is about and always will be. We have our governance circle, and we have our social coding circle. So that is the proposal, for which I was a little bit stuck with this because they were stuck like getting rid of the circles. Griff does get the logic to do this because the role sheet is indeed the most important one now to like talk about accountabilities, but the roles are always linked to the specific circles. The circles help to focus a little bit, and if you don't have focus, it gets a little bit vague what we do. So that's the thing I wanted to say about the website. So more is coming up about that, but it's about the general structure. So I think it's an important one to mention. And yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. Any feedback on that one, Griff?
I do think that maybe we'll flesh out this circle thing with Illumio, maybe. But there's also the idea of getting rid of the term circle lead and basically just having campaign leads, because we have campaigns or campaign managers who actually have a role that we hopefully will get rid of one day with the DAO. But for now, that's how our DAO works. And then yeah, that's it. And also the circles are more external facing, and internally we use the role sheet to organize ourselves.
Yep. So for me, it makes sense. I have no need whatsoever to be a lead, but just like we all fill our roles, and the roles meeting can become more and more important to like see if we're doing a good job in that specific role, and if not, these roles can be given over to other people. Other feedback or thoughts on this?
Well, back to the website. Are we thinking to do the website by bounties with Gitcoin?
Well, to be honest, I would prefer to have just yeah, we can do it bounties, but I would prefer to have some person who has the dedicated time to really work on it together one-on-one, because it's gonna go quicker. But we can do it with bounties, sure. Or we can just create a milestone. I have no preference.
Well, the nice thing is with bounties, we can get some funding from Gitcoin.
That is true.
It's a good incentivization model they gave us.
Yeah, it's true. I can just because I'm gonna write it out anyways. Good point.
Bowen?
My question is, when you do bounties with Gitcoin, who okays it? Like, how does that happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, who selects who can be the contributor and gets paid for a thing?
In the end, the funder does, and the funder would be Scott or Mitch or whoever picks it up. But we can also go there and look at the people and tell them to select who we want.
Oh, okay.
Why are you thinking about working on the website?
Well, I didn't. It was more of a curiosity than anything else. I doubt that I'll be doing that on top of like all of the 99 other things I got going with y'all. But I'm definitely working with the rest of the social coding at the moment to put together the social coding side of it, which is like, you know, this 3-pronged attack of different things that's going on. So it'll just be another wheel of this machine in the end. But you know, we're definitely should have some oversight of making everything look the same all the way across. But that's more of a style sheet and formatting thing than anything else, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
Which, by the way, if anybody's watching, is GitHub issue number 109, creation of web page for social coding.
Cool. Oh, you're muted, Chris, if you're trying to talk.
I was. Yeah, so that is indeed the thing. It's maybe a good way to go to that one. So you're working on that one, Bowen, and it would live on socialcoding.github.io, right?
Theoretically, that's the model that we're working with at the moment. So it is possible that it would just reside under the same site, unless the other sections are going to have their own subdomains. I think it's a good idea to have, you know, subdomains, even though it's really just a naming thing. It's all going to be on the same server and operated by the same people.
Yep.
So I think that'll be a vote at some point, or a Lumio, or, you know, a straw poll, or, you know, drawing straws. I don't know.
Okay. Then one more that is, to me, just it's starting soon, so it's a bit top of mind for me. It's the blockchain on tour Latin America that Griff's going to. So yeah. I saw that some of the projects are starting to tweet, in 2 weeks it's happening. And they will be writing blog posts about this, etc. But I don't know, like, if anyone is going with you, Griff, or if you want to write something about it, or if you just gonna try to stream some of the presentations, or do you want to, like, you have any idea of providing some content?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I haven't really checked in with them to see how that's all gonna go. I don't know, honestly. I don't know if it's gonna be streamed or how it's gonna go. I know I need to put together some slides for it eventually, or some. I think I might just get up there and talk. I like doing that without slides personally, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, well, whenever you have something to tweet, just let me know, of course. Okay, well, that's for the moment is my top of mind. So I talked to, it's the website, and the other thing for me is also getting some funding for Giveth. And to me, if we have a logical structure for the website and we agree on this, it's also an easier thing for me to talk about what Giveth is about to external funders. So that helps me in working on that one. Jessica was going to help with this, but she's gone for a little bit, but she will be back as of next week. So then we'll continue with this.
What's your guys' mode of operation for, like, funding for Jessica? Is she, like, doing hourly work or what?
Yeah, right now she's doing hourly work, and she's just gonna create a milestone for the work that she did, But now for the moment, it's been a little bit of some hours here, some hours there, because she's been traveling and moving places. So, and she still has if she's going to stay on board for a longer time or not. So right now, she's not a regular rewarder just yet.
And is it like hourly work for anything that she does for Giveth, or is it like there are specific tasks that are like, I'm just curious if she's at that level where anything that she decides to do with her time that she thinks is like towards Giveth getting funded is like she's getting paid for that, or is it more kind of like bounties where it's like, oh, this is something that we need to be done. If you can do it, then you get paid.
Right now, we just said like let's work with an hourly rate, and so no, it's not bounty focused or anything just yet. For the moment, I've mostly informed her and given her a lot of information, so she's really up to speed now, like with how we function and what we're all about. And so first, she also said herself that she's not stressing out about money right now. She just wants to help. Okay, other issues on the board that people would like to talk about?
Jeff has a mind map. I think that's cool.
Yeah, did everybody get a chance to see that? Where did that link go?
I think I saw it in governance.
The link to what? To the map itself?
Yeah, it's not on GitHub.
Oh, you should put a photo of this map on your GitHub issue.
Yeah, here it is. I put it in the chat.
So yeah, this was definitely first run, and it probably needs a lot of work. I didn't get a chance to chat with everybody to get all opinions on what needed to be included. And actually that link doesn't seem to be working for me. Ooh. So I'm sure anybody can create a user account and you can edit and tweak and move things around. It's pretty easy interface to play with. So that can definitely be, it's not loading for me.
It loaded for me off that link. But maybe you need really good internet.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, if that's a useful tool for anybody, feel free to use it, to host it wherever, to share it within the team or with other teams. That definitely is fine by me.
That is really, really cool, Jeff.
Yeah, it's a way for, I guess it's for people to understand a little bit what Giveth is about. It's even a good inspiration for the website for me. And it shows that you understand Giveth.
Yeah, so the way mind maps work, every arm is kind of a different branch of ideas, and you can build off of each branch. So, and then you can have dependencies between branches, so you can really get a good multi-dimensional view of all the moving parts of Giveth. And I think it will evolve, it will change. And I mean, obviously I put in ... because I'm sure there's more information that could go into almost each of these areas. But it just kind of gives a one-stop overview of all of these various things going on in the Giveth galaxy. So this can definitely be a living, breathing, updating document as things change, and it can be used for onboarding. It can be used for explaining to our other projects in the community what exactly we're up to, or and obviously some of these things may change. I put in circle leads, but if that's more of a flat organizational structure, that can change. And yeah, I just thought it helped me kind of understand how everything works. So it might be useful for others as well.
Quick question. If I was looking at this thing and hearing you at the same time, so like I missed a couple of little bits of it. It's okay if we go in and sort of restructure stuff a little bit. All right, cool, because it might make it social coding is just a little bit bigger than it looks there because it's kind of like 3 departments now. So that's I will go in with the guys and sort of flesh that out a little bit. And
for sure,
awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you can do some editing. You know, it doesn't have to be these 6 kind of main campaigns are the only, or these 6 main bubbles are the only ones with colors. You can go in and edit if any of these need to be bigger or changed around. You can drag and drop things to move them to different bubbles or make them their own bubbles. So it's a very adaptable tool. It's pretty cool.
It's gonna be interesting when everyone like changes it and then other people will change it back. But that's good because then it's alive and it's how we work.
Live.
Yeah, but yeah. So, but I think it does make sense, like the way you did it with like, if we agree on this, so indeed maybe we should do a new proposal that the circles, the given circles, stay there, and then because now it's twice it's named campaigns, that you have like the 4 circles, which is like good for people to understand. This is like the give it closer galaxy, and then you have a lot of other things that come on the outside rim of our galaxy, projects that spin out of Giveth. To me, this makes sense. Yeah.
So I have a question about word usage, like vernacular for that. So campaigns, as far as I had understood so far, a campaign was more like a something that like Grace Aid or Sedum would put up, and then a campaign is broken into a series of milestones. So we're thinking to rename circles campaigns, and then would we still have those donor campaigns split up into milestones, or I'm just curious about that.
Well, so it's more, is this an external thing or an internal thing? This mind map.
I heard usefulness from both. You know, during DevCon, people were like, "So what's Giveth up to?" And I was like, "You know, I'm kind of figuring that out myself and drawing a little mind map." And they were like, "Oh, I'd love to see that and understand, you know, with the transparency and all that." So it could be internal, it could be external, but I think it's good for us, like in our terminology as well. If we're talking about campaigns being broken up into milestones, well, is governance a campaign? Does governance have milestones within that campaign, or are we just using the word campaign in 2 different contexts? I just want to be clear about that.
I think that the question is slightly different than it's being posed, because milestones themselves are individual accomplishments within a campaign rather than a job description, meaning that anybody who performs a role or a task creates a milestone for that task that is completed that happens to reside or is paid out by a campaign. So trying to define milestones the way that you're defining it is kind of defining a role within a campaign rather than a milestone within a campaign. Because a milestone is a job that's done by somebody with a role or somebody who has been assigned a task by someone who has a role within a campaign. So there's a tier in there that's missing from the thought process that you might want to like consider before you think that a milestone is just that one thing, because milestones have a definite beginning, middle, and end time. And each one of those is really only a task or an event or like getting paid back for a thing that you spent money on rather than like an actual job description, if that means anything. So it's more, there's a roles component that doesn't exist within the DAP, if that makes any sense, except for the fact that, well, a milestone reviewer could be considered a role where a campaign manager could be considered a circle lead, if that makes any sense. However, it's the way that it's defined within the DAP is a little bit different than the way that you're kind of trying to define an organizational structure. Michael, I think you raised your hand.
Yeah, I was just wanted to go back to the internal versus external. And if there is a difference, then maybe it would be useful, especially for onboarding, to have a mind map that shows internally how the organization is structured, and then another mind map that shows how it looks externally facing. So we can see the difference. And maybe also we may find that we can streamline the differences between internal and external. So it makes it just easier over time to understand how the organization works. When I look at the the mind map right now, I mean, one thing that I'm, from my own just looking at roles and things, is things like governance and funding and fundraising. So I see this funding area, and then I had thought that fundraising was sort of part of governance, and it's sort of in its own branch. So maybe someone can correct me on that, but I see the value of kind of putting it separately. But I think I'm just curious about how that might work.
Yeah, it used to be. It was originally part of governance, but governance hasn't been doing a good job at it lately. So we kind of started leaning more on comms to step it up because we need funding. So it's really it's like, you know, the organization is very fluid, and these things change over time depending on who steps up for doing what things, you know.
Right, but even if it's comms, I mean, right now it's not showing it under comms. Like, it's showing it. So usually, like, you know, you start with the big circle, then you go to, and then it breaks out. And I'm just thinking maybe it'd be good to know that, like, right now I don't know that funding is under comms. Like, unless obviously if you know all the players and the people, you would know that immediately. But for new people, they won't know, you know, where those things situate. So that's just a bit of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's hard to do this, you know, hierarchical thing when it's a flat structure. It's like it's funding is not under comms. It's just a task that roles need to fulfill, you know, and someone needs to do it. And like, you know, if all of a sudden you come in and funding, I'm doing it. Here we go. We're attacking. Then you're being paid by the governance campaign. So, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's a weird, it's hard sometimes to do these, this is kind of hierarchical structure.
Well, that's okay too. Like it doesn't have to be, if the plan is it's whoever, you know, is at the particular moment wants to take the lead on it, then I would argue that fundraising isn't under any of those Giveth circles. It's actually it's its own entity, and the leads may change from time to time. But then we know that it's not necessarily in a circle. Although I guess from a roles point of view, from the role spreadsheet, then it may be that it doesn't quite match with the role spreadsheet in that case. Because that's the only thing. Maybe fundraising is its own thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's probably its own thing, but I do get your point, like how it's perceived by the outside world. I think it makes sense indeed that if we have an onboarding version of this, and I think Lorelei is working on is our onboarding person, then it's good to maybe simplify this, and in that way I would start with our circles, because that is for me a good way from the outside to come in. And then I just renamed it again. We're gonna be renaming this all the time, but yeah, funding can be a funding initiative. It's a separate thing for the moment, but bringing some more structure in all of this, Michael, I'm all for it. Like in Giveth in general. So I think we'll just have to brainstorm this. And I think this is just a brain blurb from Jeff's mind, anyways. Because you could also say, like, yeah, now team communication is separately, but why is this not under communication under Giveth circles? So it's like it all depends how you want to do it. I think we can all make different ones.
Well, I think what's really great about this, Jeff, is that it opens up this conversation. So when you can see it visually like this, suddenly you start to see those areas where there's confusion, right? Where it's like, where does the fundraising sit? It's like, and then we start to address those questions, and then we can bring structure to a flat structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, without trying to be hierarchical. We keep it flat, but somehow the mind map still represents that flat structure.
Yep. Any other thoughts? Anyone?
We can also draw these dependency arrows. I think they're a little bit messy sometimes, but at the bottom of the doc here, like I just connected compensation and future ideas. If there is ever a time that we want to, draw a dependency, if you need to know that comms is in charge of the funding initiative, you can put in these funny arrows. But if you start adding too many, it starts to kind of convolute the mind map. So it's an option.
Yep. Gotta add the unicorn DAC there. Okay. Yeah.
I have the unicorn DAC under the governance right now, but again, that can be moved out and separated if that makes most sense. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, under compensation too. Yeah, good idea. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other burning issues, things people want to talk about. Bowen.
Okay, just a quick thing. You and I spoke about this yesterday, and I talked to Yaler about it this morning and yesterday, and everybody seems to be on board with the idea. Basically, the Blockturn ship hackathon happened, and I was charged with the seemingly mathematically impossible task of generating a tiered list of winners from a list of 6 people who would likely vote themselves as winner. So I came up with a way to decentralize the vote and come up with a way to judge at least the top 3. But as it turns out, actually all 6 ranked from top to bottom in order to issue the prizes. And so as a result of that, he really would have appreciated this too. As a result of that, I'm putting together a little article on how I went about it and how the math works out and how to do a vote on something like a hackathon when you're talking about awarding, getting the participants to vote on who should be the winner of an award, especially when the participants are probably proudest of their own work, and how to get that to mathematically work out in everyone's favor. It's really cool. It's sort of a combination of what social coding is doing, and here's a governance experiment that, as it turns out, works. And it's why tiered voting is a thing. Do you miss the whole thing? I can repeat it if you would like.
Please.
Okay, so basically the Blockturn ship thing just happened, and we had to figure out a way to have the participants vote on who would win, at least the top 3 slots, when they were all likely to vote themselves as winner, and how to do that mathematically. And so I figured out how to do it. So it's a combination of an article being written on what social coding is up to, sort of the results of the hackathon, and the governance experiment of decentralizing a vote and doing a tiered voting system, and how, like, the interplay of people, what they'll likely do in a game theory perspective, and sort of the math and reality of the situation and how to make it all work. So it's kind of cool. I should have it done in a day or 2. There will be a Medium article.
Yay!
Cool. I love that process sharing.
Yeah, and it was the complexity of the fact that it's the participants who are voting for them likely are going to vote for themselves, and you found out like a mathematical thing to like make this happen in a healthy way or something, right?
Yeah, but I mean, just not to give away the punchline of the article or anything, but the idea is there's been talk, at least in American politics and probably politics everywhere else at a certain point, about how when you vote for a single candidate out of like a list of 4, what happens is if there is a tie, there needs to be a runoff and an additional vote. However, if you have a populace or a population of voters that are required to do a ranked voting, where the first, second, third, fourth, etc., what happens is if you eliminate the top tier, if it's only people that are voting for themselves and other people participating, when you eliminate first place, you are still left with a rank 1 through 4. There's a short document that I wrote on just visually explaining how that works. But in the case of when you have an even number of people voting, the chances of a tie goes up like nearly 100%. However, in a ranked voting system, the chances of a tie happening are extremely low, and it goes down with every additional participant. And it's nearly a zero number if the number of participants are odd. So, but like when you come in with an even number of people that are likely to vote for themselves, and you add both who won and rank the participants 1 through however number it is, then you end up getting a rank where everybody participated in saying who was the best in this. And what usually happens is first and second are neck and neck with like within a vote or two, and then it starts to drop off from there, which is what I predicted, and as it turns out in practice actually turned out exactly the way that I thought it would. So so that's what I'm writing up as an article, because it kind of gives people the ability to use this for their own things that require winners or whatever. So it's a little bit of game theory, a little bit of like math and matrices, and sort of like that matrix voting or tiered voting. And there's some visual aids to make it look cool and whatever that I put together. It's fun. It'll be a neat little thing.
Cool.
And so just another tool for experimental governance. Hooray.
Yeah, I tagged it social coding and governance because it's a nice one. Okay. Danny, we haven't heard you. How are you? What are you working on? Top of mind things. And then she freezes. Oh no, she's back. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Anyone has specific things they would like to talk about? Other points?
Oh, that's mine.
I have a question actually, Lorelei, for the roles meeting. What is the next step? What is the date? Has that been decided?
I really want Michael to vote on the doodle. And then once he does that, then I think I have all my really important parties, my favorites that I can play and try and figure out something that works for at least the most crucial people to be there.
Cool. Yeah, maybe you can put the link in here again. Then you have it immediately, I guess. Okay. Anything else? We don't have to.
I had another comment just in general with evening meetings. Like, I support the comms meeting moving to 6, but I just want to put this out there that I respect that, like, evenings feel like family time for a lot of people, and I want to keep those people who feel that. So just when we're choosing when to schedule new meetings and stuff, like keeping that in mind, that taking 2, 3, 4 dinner times out of the week for people can be a quality of life influence.
Should we try to make all the meetings on one day, like consolidate?
Well, no. That's why with the roles. Yeah, your face froze in such the perfect reaction, Chris. No. I think that's why for the roles meeting, I'm hoping what will make the most sense is doing it on Gov meeting day. Because I don't really want to add a whole new evening of meetings personally. But we'll see. I'll go in there once we have all the votes and figure out the best.
Cool. if there are no other topics, I have something that is on my mind, and I just wanted to already put it out there, but I think I'm going to create a Loomio post on it. On Friday I made milestones, and it's maybe interesting to have Michael's opinion on it as well, as he's here. So we've had this discussion often with the DApp team that we're not using the DApp as we should, because we're like reporting on the things that we did for the regular rewards people, and now we make a milestone. I'm I'm way too perfectionist in it, and I try to put every detail in it, and it takes a whole lot of time. So Friday I spent the entire day on making my milestones for like a period, because I had delayed making them again. And then the only people checking them are actually reviewers to make sure that the dates are correct and that no mistakes were made. But the content of the work that actually gets done gets also a little bit lost there. So now I was thinking, it's also a bit an idea towards Lorelei, is like we will have our roles meeting now. And the roles meeting is actually the place to discuss what you actually did for your roles, which makes more sense to me than the milestones. So now I was thinking, because we will have a Unicorn DAC where you can fund milestones for specific projects in the future, would it be an idea to maybe create that we just have regular reward milestones that are saying, hey, this is my regular reward milestone, and it's linked to the work that I do for my roles, and these are my roles. And it's not something where you put on all the detail of what you've done. The detail of what you have done, you keep that for the roles meeting. So yeah.
I feel really strongly about this, that I don't want details of people's work during the week to go in the roles meeting, because I don't think people will want to come to it then. And we need to have a place where people can talk about like things that actually really need to be presenced about their roles. And so I do not want the roles meeting to be a place where people are saying, you know, these are all the things I did this week.
No, but I don't think it should be. But I think it could be because there was also a
good place for that. And like the roles meeting is very connected to the roles sheet, but I personally like I feel strong resistance towards having that actual breakdown go on in the meeting.
No, I agree. That wouldn't be the idea, but I think it could be in maybe a different form. I haven't worked it out yet because we have one role sheet right now. So it could be another form, a linked form or whatever, but a place where people like link to the detail of, and where you split up the work that you do in a week, link to the specific role that you fulfill. Because for me, the roles is also an easy way to see like, hey, the things that I'm doing in a week, is this actually one of my roles, or am I just doing this because this is a role that does not exist and I'm just filling it right now? So I think, yeah, I mean, it's just that's my cat. It's just a thought I had, like, is there, what are you guys thinking about this?
Did we lose that from the Gov meeting? Because didn't we always used to do, that was like it was one of the rounds of check-in was, what did you do this week?
And I loved it. Very good.
Was that an intentional stop doing that? Does anyone remember?
It just kind of stopped happening.
Yeah, I think one moment, Griff, you said we won't do it this week because we have some other stuff to discuss, and then we didn't do it anymore. But I did like it a lot.
I liked it there too, and I think that it's great to have many options for like people's different learning styles. Like, hey, like maybe milestones, like making incredible detail in milestones doesn't work for you. Maybe you would rather put it in the role sheet, or maybe you would rather speak it in the Gov meeting. And so to like have the opportunity for each person, and maybe they could say that in the role sheet. Oh, I tend to record my work in the Gov meeting. Here's a link to like the moment that I start speaking, or I tend to record this in whatever else, and then they
Yeah, I mean, on the milestones, there's got to be something. If it's just like, hey, I'm filling these roles, you know, that's up to you. Eventually, one day, I hope that we actually get funded by donors and that those donors will see that their money went to this milestone. Like Bowen's milestone was funded by a donation Rafa made, you know? And if Rafa starts using the DApp, he can actually go and see, oh, my milestone went to Bowen and this is all the stuff he did, right? So it is important that we maintain a good culture of doing that. It doesn't have to be super extensive. And if you feel like it's impeding your stuff, then, you know, cut it back. But I do think the milestone is the spot because that's where we have accountability to our donors.
Or at least like that would be where you where it's documented. Like in the milestone, maybe you would put the link to your moment in the Gov meeting.
I'm starting to track my hours for Argonne DAC, which is just making me track my hours for everything. And so I will end up being able to hopefully just copy paste this into the Giveth milestone that I make as well.
Just to jump in there, I think there's different things, right? And from my experience, you know, I don't know if it's called the Gov meeting, but the sort of all-team meeting where people go around the table and just say, hey, this is what I've been up to this week. I've done that before in other organizations that are about this size, and it's been really effective to kind of just get an update from everybody in like 1 or 2 minutes. Here's what's been going on this week. Here's where I've had some challenges or stuff like that. It kind of keeps everybody together. But I see that as, you know, very different from, you know, milestones and things like that, especially when it's attached to funding that you have to report on. It's really different purposes. One is just a communications purpose, going around the table and just kind of updating your peers. And then the other one is more for reporting purposes and you know, attaching it to your role and potentially any funding that may be attached to that as well. So I think they're both useful. And then there's a third element too, which is like, if you have, if you're, you know, related to a specific project where you're looking at, you know, a list of issues and tasks that are sort of planned, ongoing, completed, then, you know, within those sort of daily and weekly meetups too, there's going to be discussions of around milestones and things as well. So, you know, I think, you know, one of the things I was saying to Griff yesterday is that, and I talked to Jeff last night, is for some of these projects related to the TCRs and the DAOification work, I think we want to build out a roadmap, at least like a 6-month roadmap whereby we can sort of plot what we plan to achieve in that 6-month period so everybody's aware of it, and then have kind of, then we can break it down on a weekly and monthly basis. And we're going to be looking at, you know, milestones in that context as well. So I think, you know, I see them as different purposes, but definitely I think I wouldn't definitely include milestones in the roles meeting. And I have one other question, which is the roles meeting purpose really, are you having it on a periodic basis just because people's roles are constantly changing, or is it for onboarding as well? Like, what's the purpose of the roles meeting?
So the purpose of the roles meeting is to have a space dedicated where people's roles can be discussed, like the status of roles. So like, how well is your role going? Like, are there certain roles that you don't want to fulfill anymore, or that the team feels you're not fulfilling well? A place for feedback. And also then like the status of proposed roles. Yeah, so it's like definitely a crucial step of like onboarding new people. And it's also a spot where the need for new roles arises, or becomes clear. And it's not just because people's roles are changing frequently, as in like they're having different roles every month, but their roles are changing in the sense of like, you know, how well they're doing, and it, you know, it's like a feedback place.
Right. But is that something that happens it's going to happen every week, or is that more something
No,
like you're going to? Sorry.
Every month.
Every month. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so it's good feedback from everyone. So I'll wait a little bit with any Lumio if it's even necessary. But I am going to look again at the role sheet, how I would fill it in for my projects. I think I do get the point of milestones. We need them for accountability. Completely agree, because people who fund us want to see what we actually did. The roles meeting is not going to be the place that we can go in all the detail. I think it's a good point to bring, like, hey, what did we do last week, back into the governance meeting, because it's a weekly thing, and then other people know what you guys have been up to, because I think it was a good way to like keep people informed. This meeting is also a good one for that, but the other one has then that formal element of it. But what I will do personally is I will try to make my milestones even more, once we like have the roles meeting process running, that I already try in my milestones to have headers of what the different tasks are that I am doing and what they are related to. And once we have now these roles fleshed out, it makes even more sense to say this is part of my social or my community management role. This is part of the whatever role, and so that you can still link to this in the roles meeting document, so that if people want to know, like, hey, did Chris actually do a good job for that role, you can link to it and they can get to the detail, because I think this detail, especially for detailed people, is important, so that they can see what's actually happening, because we're already quite a big team, and then otherwise it's difficult for you to give any feedback if you don't know what actually happened. So it's just a way of, it was just a thought blurb. I think it's got to be an evolving process anyways. That's good.
Yeah.
That's some feedback. Cool. It's 6 p.m. start of our meeting next week, and the end of this one this week, I think, unless anyone has any other pressing issues they wanted to discuss.
No, I think it's good.
Cool. Okay, so don't hesitate, as said before, to just like comment on issues you see on the GitHub, create new ones if you see if they're not in there, but just do a search first to see that they're not double, and make this your own. Lots of the issues I still created, but make them yourself as well. This is just meant as an overview, not as a double thing, because social coding has, for example, their own process, and for me, it's just like I put Bowen's article in there so that we just have the communication focused elements in this one. And so my checkout is thank you for the great meeting, and I'll see you guys next week at 6 p.m. and I give it to Lorelei.
Yeah, I want to just empower everyone in this room to let's all help each other remember that we're going to do this in the Gov meeting. We're going to resume this practice. I think it might be, I can easily see us forgetting, but let's all remember that any of us can mention that and be like, hey, wait, didn't we say we were going to restart the what did you do this week? And that goes around the same time as check-in in the beginning of the meeting. Okay, cool meeting, cool cons meeting. I appreciated the roles feedback for sure. And thanks, guys. I'll pass it to Michael.
Great to be here for my first comms meeting, and glad to see how this works and that decisions are being made. And I'll pass it to Jeff.
Feeling good. Glad to be here and participate in the comms side of things. I did have one question for the Zen Hub board. Are there any useful filters, or when we're looking at, so when I look at the whole thing, it's a little bit overwhelming, but sometimes when I filter by comms, for example, I don't see some of the issues that we talk about in this meeting. Do we have any go-to filters to make this sort of manageable when we're talking about specific projects?
Yeah, definitely. I can, if you prefer, always give the number of the issue we're talking about. And the other thing that helps are the labels. So you have the labels for our 4 circles: governance, social coding, app development, and communication if it's like overall. And you also have the epics, which are in a separate column. And these are like some of the larger things that we're working on. So always events and posts, I tag them, but if you see something is missing, don't hesitate to tinker with it or propose something else.
I will do. Great. And I will pass it on to Griff. Is he still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I got booted. Actually, by the way, I was trying to edit the ZenHub thing in the MindMeister, and then it like froze on me. So I don't know how that ended up. Probably not well. But I was gonna put GitHub/ZenHub. Yeah, good meeting. I remember now why we stopped doing it is because it kind of was like we would do the thing at the beginning and then we would check in. So maybe we can try to combine it with check-in so that we can say like, what did you do this week? Are you distracted? And what's your intentions for the meeting? Because people were cracking jokes that it was silly that we do 2 rounds like that. And then let's see. Yeah, good meeting. I'm excited to open up this circle campaigns debate again, where we get to separate ourselves based off of who likes to be organized and who likes to be chaotic. I'll pass it to Danny.
Danny's having technical difficulties.
I think she checked out in the chat there.
Yeah, she did.
Anyone else? Bowen?
Yes, right. Yes. Hey. It was a very good meeting. I'm glad that I could have added telling you about that thing I'm kind of excited about, which I'm also at the same time, now that the meeting's over, about to publish the results of the Blockturnship vote in the Blockturnship channel as soon as the meeting's over. And I look forward to sharing this stuff with you later. I think that might be it. Oh yeah, and Jeff, I hit you up on Riot with a private message, so you got it. All right, cool. And I think that's about it. So I'll pass it back to Chris to put the nail in this one.
Well, I'm just saying goodbye and talk to you guys later then. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, you guys as well.
Or evening.
Oh, Bowen.
Yes, sir.
Update on podcast?
Good question. Okay, so I have to go and grab the last stuff out of my apartment. The other apartment. We got an extra week to like try and solve that problem, and I'm having to like myself over the next 2 days. So things are a little hectic with getting the articles done, getting the voiceover done. I know, but I'm working on the Burning Man ones. So it's a little bit further back in the release schedule, so that gave me a little bit of extra time to do that. But I am working. I've gone through all of the audio and taken notes on it, where it is and whatnot. And now I have to go back and do a critical listen on the ones that are easy to do to find out how much work it is. Probably doing the editing at the same time and package that up and send it over to Josh, because I guess they're doing all of that. And I may be recording this episode was brought to you by Giveth or by the Giveth Galaxy sort of bumper thing with the audio logo and stuff on the front of it.
Nice.
And I haven't settled that with them, but it's like the other 2 guys were already working on they were already working on doing the voiceovers for everything already, and they already had it done before I even had a chance to get my mic hooked up again. So
that's what reminded me about it, is that beautiful mic setup you got in front of you.
I know, isn't it? It's really nice. I bought this mic for my dad years ago. And when I was down in Florida after his funeral, I was like, oh my God, that mic I bought him years ago, never got a chance to use it. And it sounds really good.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, so that's where that's at. I would also like, once this gets off the ground, I'm throwing myself in the ring for being able to do interviews with people, because what I can do is I can send them, as long as they're trustworthy, I can send them a little mic rig, like a USB mic, so we can have a video chat or whatever to interview them, but they're actually recording audio locally for themselves. And then they can send me the recorded audio with a good mic, and then the interviews sound really good. Like I know that you've done interviews with people like I forget the people that did the really cool tessellated portraits of everybody. Like Vlad uses his portrait from an interview they did on there, and I know that it might have. I can't remember who it was exactly, but a lot of the people that are doing the interviews over like Google Hangouts or whatever, they don't sound as good as if you just take that extra time to send somebody a $200 USB mic and have them record their interview while they're doing it with you. It makes all of the difference in the world. When I did the interview for Make Me Smart, before they decided to change gears, that's how we were doing it. I had a mic set up on my end, they had a mic set up on their end, and then they were editing the audio together for the interview. So all of that works. Also at a later time, if go ahead.
I mean, I just think you guys have too high standards in general.
Well, I mean, it's just every little thing you do to polish the way that anything that you're doing looks or sounds, it's going to make a difference to the end user. But yeah, the one last other thing I wanted to mention is because of our close relationship with my crypto here and the presence of like the Ethereum community and such being so big in LA now that I've noticed, since we have to go to all of the stuff locally, I may be able to represent Giveth at these things if it's necessary or if we're asked. But I just kind of wanted to toss it out there that if we have any type of a boilerplate presentation on like who we are and what we do, or slides or anything for that type of a thing, and it ever comes up, you know, I can speak to people. I prefer to do it remotely, but I can do it in person.
Yeah.
We have loads of presentations, so you can pick the one that makes sense to you. You can send it.
Okay. Yeah. And I can also once everything's almost settled here, I can almost stop tearing my hair out. So as soon as my hair is firmly planted back into my scalp, I can start like looking ahead to all of the things that are happening here and find out if, like, you know, any short presentations or anything, etc. I think I sort of lost my train of thought there. It's morning, you got to forgive me, but I think I made it. I made my point.
And just going, you know, and if you don't want to present, just going there with a Giveth shirt is pretty badass on itself. And you can always, hey, did you guys get the right size of shirts? I think I gave her the wrong size.
I don't know. I don't know yet. I will find out today because Taylor didn't come to the office yesterday, evidently, when Luker was there. So we didn't get the shirts yet, but we're doing a little trade-off. So I'll find out today, most probably. And we're getting a Crypto Kitties onesie for Kai.
Oh.
I'm sorry, what?
I need your help, so.
Okay, I gotta go, guys.
Okay,
things are crazy over here.
Yeah.
So I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Yeah, and just let me know. And thanks for pushing that through this morning. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and just wearing a Giveth shirt at a conference or a meeting and
I might
is definitely awesome. You know.
Do you have any of the older ones?
Yeah, I'll bring some. What size are you? Extra large?
XL, yeah. And Luker's a large, she said. So that's what I think I asked Kai for and what I asked you guys for, but I guess we'll find out later if that's what we got sent. But if you have any of the older ones too, that'd be nice, because the only Giveth shirt I have at the moment is the white hat unicorn from Burning Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll check to see if we have extra large right now. But yeah, dude, okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take it easy.
Can't wait to see you, Bowen.
Yeah. When are you guys coming?
We are coming December 3rd. We're going to get there at night. And we'll be there probably for like a day and a half, 2 days.
Yeah, and I heard that you guys are going to be posting up at the My Crypto headquarters. So like I'll just come down one of those days.
We'll see you for sure. Okay, yeah. Go help Luker.
Okay, I'm going. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Chris. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, Chris.